welcome to the Book Talk Babes podcast, where we will be discussing different book-related topics and occasionally specific books. This episode will contain explicit language and may contain spoilers, so please check the episode description for a list of books that were spoiled. My name is Ashley, and today I am joined by my lovely friend, Elaine.
Hello.
Welcome, new listeners. Thank you, returning listeners. Today's topic is, horror, thriller books, sort of, specifically.
Yeah.
I guess we could have called this a book discussion for Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw and My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan. Oh, I feel like I said that wrong. Hold on. I wrote notes on how to say it. No, that was right. Oyinkan Braithwaite.
Braithwaite? Yeah.
Forgive us if we don't remember everything from both of these. I feel like we last minute put this together.
Yeah.
And I know you started with My Sister, the Serial Killer, and then I started with Nothing But Blackened Teeth, and you saw my review for it, and I'm glad it turned you away.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to waste your time.
Yeah. Well, I think I had started it, and so I was listening to it as I was I think putting in that I've read this book, or My Sister, the Serial Killer, in my Goodreads, and I saw your review pop up, and I was like, oh, maybe I should stop this. And so I stopped. I think I listened to maybe the first 5 minutes.
The premise of it sounds so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the way it was, I feel like the way it was described, like the synopsis, I was actually genuinely terrified that my overactive imagination was going to cause me to have some serious nightmares,
Mm-hmm.
or at the very least wake up in the middle of the night and be scared.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I laughed more than I was scared of anything reading that. I didn't think about, should we read the description? Do you want to start with the one that we both read? Or should we start with get Nothing But Blackened Teeth over with?
I guess, yeah, just since we already started talking about that.
Okay.
I guess you can tell us.
I'll give a brief because there's really not much to it.
Yeah, it's very, very short. It's only 2 hours for an audiobook.
And and I don't know if, or I guess I'll okay, I'll try to read the book description and then I'll say what I need to say. So this says, Cassandra Khaw's Nothing But Blackened Teeth is a gorgeously creepy haunted house tale steeped in Japanese folklore and full of devastating twists. I call bullshit on that entire sentence. I'm probably going to say this wrong, but a Heian-era mansion stands abandoned, its foundations resting on the bones of a bride and its walls packed with the remains of the girls sacrificed to keep her company. It's the perfect wedding venue for a group of thrill-seeking friends, but a night of food, drinks, and games quickly spirals into a nightmare. For lurking in the shadows is the ghost bride with a black smile and a hungry heart, and she gets lonely down there in the dirt. Effortlessly turning the classic haunted house story on its head, Nothing But Blackened Teeth is a sharp and devastating exploration of grief, the parasitic nature of relationships, and the consequences of our actions. So, I looked up some reviews of this because I was trying, because I listened to the audiobook. And the four or sorry, the 5 main characters' names are Kat, Philip, Nadia, Faiz, and Lynn. So I wasn't sure how to spell certain names. So I was trying to look up like someone that wrote a review that had the names in them. And like one of the articles I pulled up was NPR and it did nothing but like praise this book. And I feel like we read something different. Like these, it starts off like it's obviously short. So there's not a lot of, you don't get a lot of history in the characters or anything like that. You're kind of learning as you go. So it starts off with like our main character is Kat. It's all from her point of view. And throughout the book, you find out that I guess her and Philip had a little thing at one point. Her and Faiz also, I guess, like supposedly dated for like 8 weeks in high school, but never even kissed. And then Faiz and Nadia are the ones that are getting married at the haunted house. Nadia also hooked up with Philip at some point in her past. And then there's Lynn, who shows up later than all of them or whatever. But he like brought all the food and stuff, all the food and drinks. I don't know. But like right off the bat, Nadia and Kat like they're not friends. Like there's some seriously like hostile tension between the two of them. I guess at one point Nadia and Faiz were going to break up and Kat expressed how much in favor she was of that decision. And because they stayed together, Nadia fucking hates her guts. Which I mean, I kind of get, but at the same time, like listening to the audiobook, Nadia was like such a bitch. And then Kat, I guess, has recently gone through some sort of like, I don't know, traumatic event. The vibes I was getting were that maybe she like was put into some sort of like mental institution of some kind. I don't know if she attempted to take her own life or what exactly. I feel like it wasn't really clear, but something happened and they kind of tiptoe around her. And I don't know, Faiz also kind of treats her like shit sometimes, but I don't know. Lynn supposedly only came because he wanted to see Kat. He doesn't care about the rest of them. I'm like, okay. So they get to the house and it's creepy. It's like dilapidated. Philip, I think, talks about the story behind the house, how there was a bride that was waiting for her, groom to show up, and then he never shows up, and then she's then buried alive I don't know, the vibes I was getting. And then made it out like that, like once a year, a girl is sacrificed or something to the house. I don't exactly know. I didn't feel like that was very clear at all. And I also wasn't sure like what was real and what was just like shit Kat was saying in her head. She was talking about like, there being bones in the walls and them stacking up girls like limbs and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's not really what happened, was it? I don't know. So yeah, they decide to tell like ghost stories the first night that they're there. Or let me rephrase that. The only night that they're there. So the whole thing is that I guess Samurai, again, I don't know how real any of this is. Samurai would sit around and tell like ghost stories, and like whoever was the last one there that didn't get scared, like, I don't know, was deemed strong. Okay. And so like they like put 100 they light 100 candles, and with each story, like like one candle is blown out, and then until the last candle's there, and whoever's still left are not scaredy cats, I guess. So they do the same thing. Like Nadia has set up. She's the one that like has dreamed about getting married in a haunted house since she was a girl, and of course Philip being the rich white guy of the group, paid for all of them to fly first class to Japan.
Wow.
And then also rented out this, haunted mansion. So obviously Philip has some feelings he's holding on to for Nadia, even though he's not the one that's getting married to her. But yeah, so they're in this room. They have all the candles lit. They're each telling a story. They're all getting drunk. The last candle's left, and Kat stands up and she's like, I got a story that's gonna blow all of y'all's out of the water. It's gonna be amazing. And they're like, Kat, you're drunk, sit down. She's like, can I just please tell my story? And so she's like, once upon a time, 5 friends, I don't know, went to a haunted mansion in, some quiet woods, blah, blah, blah. And then she whispers, and, one of them saw a ghost or something. And of course, Lynn is like, he catches on. He's like, wait, what did you see? So earlier, before Lynn had shown up, she was staring like in a mirror, and supposedly the ghost of the dead bride like showed herself in the reflection, like behind her or something, and whispered some words in her ear in Japanese. And so yeah, so that's how she tells them, like, I saw a ghost in this mansion, instead of like she waited till it was nighttime. So Lynn's like, wait, did you see a ghost? And she's like, yeah, I saw a ghost earlier. And of course Nadia like freaks out and like starts running off. And then of course Philip and Faiz go after her. And then Lynn's like, no, we gotta stay here, like it's not safe. And then she's like, if we're split up, that's not safe. He says something like, I'm the comic relief and you're living in sin, so we're gonna be the first ones to die, like we have to stay together or something. Like there are constant jokes being made about like horror movies and like the typical tropes that happen in them and things like that. So Nadia comes back through like a door that wasn't there before, and there's like a hallway with doors behind her. So immediately Kat's like, something weird's happening here. And then Faiz and Philip show back up. They go with Nadia down the hallway, and Kat and Lynn are like, no, we don't want to go. And then Kat's like, no, we have to go. And so they follow them down. They get to whatever room the other 3 are in, and Nadia's like in, I guess, the dead woman's like clothes. I don't know. Somehow she's in like the traditional wedding garb that bride would have been wearing. So I don't know how it was preserved in this mansion that is falling apart, but whatever. And then, Faiz has like his tux or suit or whatever on. He's got his formal dress on, and then Philip's supposed to be officiating. He's got his stuff on, and they're like, we're going to get married now. And Lynn and Kat are just like, what the fuck's going on here? Lynn's like, if you want to do this, that's fine. I'm leaving. And Kat's like, yeah, I think I'm going to go too. And Nadia's like, yeah, leave. I didn't want either one of you here anyway. Like, the only reason you're here is because of blah, 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 whatever. And then Kat's like, fine, okay, we'll stay. Lynn's like, no, like, let's go. So then Kat's like, okay, fine, let's go. And so they go to walk off. And then something snaps in Lynn, and Lynn's like, fuck this. And like, basically, like, rushes at Nadia and like pulls the veil that she had on off. And then standing in her place is the dead bride ghost. So they're all like, oh my God. And they freak out. Well, the ghost basically, like, the only way she communicates is she keeps saying like the same line over and over again of some poem, is what Kat figures out. Because they're like, what is she saying? What is she saying? And, Faiz, none of them can figure it out. And they're like, Faiz, you're like the only one with like, his mom is Japanese. Like, you should be able to understand what she's saying. And Kat's like, in her head, she's like, I also know some Japanese. And then she figures it out. She's like, it's this poem, blah, blah, blah. Somehow they figure out that like Nadia's been taken. And if they don't figure out how to like appease this ghost, then Nadia's going to be like the next one that's buried at the house, that sacrifice for that year, basically.
Okay.
So Faiz like starts freaking out and starts like, it's described like he's scratching the skin off of his face or something. And then Philip's trying to like calm him down. And then Lynn and Kat are just like, we need to get the fuck out of here. But we all got to stay together. Well, then Faiz starts freaking out. And he's like, we need to find the library. We need to go to the library. There's going to be books. There's going to be something that's going to tell us like how to fix this. And they're just like, no, like we need to leave. Like, we're really sorry about your fiance, but we need to get the fuck out of here. And he's like, I'm never leaving her, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, fine, okay, we'll go to a library. So they find the room that has the books in it. And it's a dilapidated mansion that has not been being taken care of. So obviously, like the books and scrolls are not going to be in good condition. And so Faiz finds a book and he's like, it's here. This is what it says. And they're looking at it, they're like, that is literally illegible. What are you talking about? And he's like, this is what we have to do. It says we have to do these things to appease the kings or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll give us Nadia back. So the things that they have to sacrifice are like, I think it was blood, cum, organ, oh shit, and something else. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I feel like it even said at one point that like they all sat there and watched Faiz like rub himself raw trying to produce some cum. And I'm like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm remembering that correctly, again, I did not take very good notes on this. So obviously like he's got the blood and then there's the cum and then God, I wish I had written down what the fourth one was. Maybe it was bone. I'm not sure. And then like the organ is one of them. So obviously Kat's like, where the fuck are we gonna get an organ? He's like, I'll rip out my own heart. Like, I don't want to live without her. And blah, blah, blah. And Kat's just like, okay, it's dramatic. You calm down. So they're sitting there just all kind of like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. I guess Philip and Faiz start arguing. And out of nowhere, Faiz like pulls out a knife and guts Philip.
Oh my
like,
God.
Disembowels him in like one slice is what it makes it out like, which I don't think is that easy. Unless you have a very sharp knife, which I don't know where the fuck he got that. All the while, there was like a bunch of paintings and drawings on the walls of like different Japanese like demons and things like that that have all like come to life and are like surrounding them in this room. It was never really clear if they were like off of the walls or they're just on the walls, like watching them. And then, of course, the ghost bride is watching the whole time and is laughing randomly.
Okay.
So yeah, Faiz accidentally, quote unquote, disembowels Philip. So Philip's like laying there dying, and Kat's like, well, like there's nothing we can do about it now. We might as well take advantage of the situation. And she like reaches her hand into his body, I'm assuming to take out his heart. I don't know.
God.
It didn't say what organ was needed. And it's not very graphically, I don't know, parts of it were kind of graphically described and then parts of it weren't. There were a lot of similes used in this book. And I was just like, oh my God, if I hear one more, I'm going to lose my mind. But yeah, so they go downstairs. They bury the things that they need to bury. Nadia shows back up because they appeased whatever. And obviously Philip's dead. So they catch the house on fire or the mansion on fire. So, you know, nothing will be left of Philip. And it like ends with that. And then it's the epilogue. And in the epilogue is like, you know, them. It talks about how they like went over their story over and over and over and over again. So they'd all have it correct. And they decided upon, you know, they were drunk and something I can't remember now if the fire started and that, like, woke them up and spooked them, so they all ran outside, and then after they were outside, realized they didn't have Philip with them, and it was already too late or something,
Mhm.
and, like, of course, at Philip's funeral, his mom comes up to them and, like, gives them all these, like, um, little wolf, I can't remember, some sort of pins. It was either a regular pen or it was some kind of, like, cufflinks. I think she said cufflinks with wolves on it because Philip considered all of them part of his pack or something. And I was like, "Oh, that's
Oh.
kind of sad and sweet."
Yeah.
Philip apparently Philip's the only one that, like, really enjoyed all of them as friends, and then all of them all kind of tolerated each other after time just because they've always been friends. I don't know, it was very they were not good people to each other,
Yeah.
like, at all. Like, all of them had
No.
some sort of, like, hostility towards one another or some kind of
Mhm.
strained relationship, and I'm like, y'all all seem like people that, like, didn't get the hint and, like, moved on from a friendship that was no longer, like, good for you, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. But, yeah, that's how it ends. Oh, sorry. Kat, I guess, has, like, killing Philip and all that kinda gave her some, like, rejuvenating, I don't know, mojo. And so she, like, she's, like, out of her, like, depressive state. She goes back to school, is getting a degree in, like, economics and something else and whatever, and she's just, like, she's doing better than ever after this
After
horribly
this.
traumatic thing.
Oh my god.
I don't know. It was, I feel like, too short
Yeah.
to make anything good happen, and, like, it just wasn't, like,
That was one
I
of
don't
the
know,
reviews
it
I
wasn't,
saw.
yeah, it wasn't creepy, like, or at least not the way I thought it was gonna be,
It made it seem like all of a sudden this happens and then it jumps into something. And it's weird that like Nadia was the one that wanted to be a get married in this house, but then something spooky happens, like her friend telling her she saw a ghost and she runs away. Like why?
so she ran away because she, like, wanted to try to find the ghost, I
Oh,
think.
okay. It made
It didn't really say, it just said that she, like, got up, freaked out, and, like, ran off. And so I interpreted it as she, like, ran off because she, like, wanted to find the ghost, but I don't know.
okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's how I'm supposed to be interpreting that.
Yeah.
I should have said before, if you liked Nothing But Blackened Teeth, this is not the podcast for you, because I did not like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it was very short. And that's like what I saw in the reviews. Or like it was too short. Like maybe if it was longer and she elaborated more on certain things.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, you were like, I don't know. Maybe, I think. Like so obviously like she didn't give enough information for you to like fully understand like what was
Yeah.
really going on.
No, not at all. And, like, I know, like, I was praising short books when we were talking to Zan about Big Fan, because I it takes out a lot of the fluff, but, like, something like this kind of needed more fluff. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, I was just very confused. Like, it doesn't give you any time to really like any of the characters, um, or like's not necessarily the right word. It doesn't really give you any time to decide, like, if any of these characters are redeemable because they all kind of suck. It, like, seems like, um like, I screenshotted a review off of Goodreads, and, like, some parts of it say, like, "There were a lot of things I didn't like. There are similes and metaphors in every other sentence," which was 100% accurate. I felt like they, like, took me out of, instead of adding to the story or helping me, like, I don't know, visualize anybody or something, they just, every time they were said, it, like, it just seemed unnecessary. Like, I don't know why you
Mhm.
put that in there. That does not matter.
Yeah.
Um, this person even says, like, the writing was a bit pretentious. Big words were used for the sole purpose of using big words. The writing and I just didn't connect, and that they didn't like any of the characters. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's like the dynamic was, bad because it focused a lot on like their drama as friends rather than any horror aspects of the book.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't sound like there was much horror
No.
into it, and it was just mostly about them.
Yeah, it's mostly about like the drama between them and like I just don't know.
Yeah.
At one point, Lynn tells Kat, like, I didn't come here for like the wedding or whatever. Like, I just wanted to see you. And she's like, well, that's kind of weird that you say that because, you didn't even like come see me when I was going through like the really rough stuff I was going through. And she's like, in her own head, she's like, I wasn't even at like his wedding and he never, contacted me or asked me why I wasn't there or blah, 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 things like that. And then, I guess, like I said, her and Philip at some point, I guess, like hooked up or something because it starts off with like the very first conversation I feel like they have out loud is like, he's like, I'm really sorry for whatever. And she's like, no, like, it's okay. We weren't looking for anything serious or something like that. And I'm like, so wait, did y'all hook up? I'm confused.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, does Lynn have feelings for Kat? Or because he's like got married or he's married and like has a kid. Um, maybe multiple kids. Fuck, I don't remember now. I just listened to this yesterday. And you
You
can
already
tell how
want to
much I
forget
liked
it.
it because I don't remember. Yeah, I already want to forget. I just, yeah, like my Goodreads review was, well, that's time I can't get back or something.
Mhm.
What's it called? Jess
Oh.
commented on it and she's like, yeah, I gave this 3 stars, but I think it was because I didn't want to be mean. I was like, yeah, no, it's pretty horrible.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't know if because it's a novella, like, if I don't know if it would have been better if it had been longer or if that would have just given more opportunity for useless things that don't matter to the
Well,
story.
I wonder if it was longer if they would have put more into the spookiness.
Yeah,
Like
maybe.
more maybe like the lore of the house would have been more explained.
Yeah, see, and that was
And
another thing. It's like it's supposed to have a lot of Japanese folklore, and it did mention a couple of things. And like, there was only one thing I looked up, and I was like, oh, okay, it's like some sort of Japanese demon depictions or whatever. But like, I don't know. I didn't feel like it gave me enough to really want to look those things up. And it didn't give me any
mhm,
information to really like, I don't know what any of it was. So I'm just like, okay. I
mhm,
just I'm kind of putting it together in my head as, with the context clues, but yeah, I maybe if they'd gone into like the lore of certain stuff more, that would have been better.
mhm.
I don't know. It just wasn't it was so promising based off of like what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah, I remember like seeing the book and being like, well, like the cover really catches your eye because you're just like, ooh,
Yeah.
this is spooky looking. And then like I remember reading the back and being like, oh, this actually sounds really interesting. So
Mhm.
it's something that
Mhm.
I've been wanting to read for a while.
Oh,
And
I'm so
it's like
sorry.
it's really sad to know that it's like, oh, it's not as bad.
Yeah. I mean,
Or it's not as good as like
I'm always so torn because I'm like, I don't want necessarily my feelings on a book to deter someone from trying it out.
mhm.
But then at the same time, I'm like, I did not enjoy this. So I feel like I would feel bad if you're like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And then you didn't enjoy it either. And then I'm like, crap, I let
Yeah.
her waste her time. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe someone else will like it. People obviously do like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of 5 stars, I don't think, but it did have quite a few 4 stars. Uh, so I don't know, maybe I'm just missing something. I know some people were talking about, I think someone posted on their Reddit review that, like, it was a, oh, what is something about celebrating killing, like, a rich white man because like, Philip's the only white guy of the group, and they make a point of talking about how much money he has and how rich his family is. Like, I mean, he had enough money to fly his friends out first class to Japan and rent out this historical, like, home, get the permit for it and all that kind of stuff. So, like, I don't know. I was like, I mean, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
It could be what they were after. I don't know.
Yeah, looking at the reviews on Goodreads, there's a lot more 3 and 2 star
Okay.
reviews
Okay.
compared to anything. Like, there's very little 5 and 4.
And there's more 4 than 5s though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
I
like
couldn't
an equal
remember.
amount of 4 and 1 stars.
Okay. Well, I contemplated not reviewing it at all. Or sorry, not putting a star rating for it. But then I was like, no, I really just like I did not enjoy this and I don't think sitting on it's gonna change my mind.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, like the fact that like there's 3 people that I'm friends with on Goodreads.
Mm.
Well, there's 2 and then 1 person I follow. They like you and like Jess and then this other person like rated it really low.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm like, yeah. Plus, I feel like me and you have very similar interests, so I was like, well, if you don't like it, then I probably wouldn't like it, you know. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, and Jess doesn't like it either, so maybe I wouldn't like it.
Yeah. I think
Um,
honestly, I think um you dodged something bad there.
yeah, I'm just seeing a lot of people being like, I was really excited, and it was a big letdown, which is really
Yeah.
sad.
It ended and I was like, wait, what? And I was at work and of course like me and my mom worked together and she was behind me when I said that, but it was right after she had also said something, so she like repeated what she said and I'm like, no, sorry. Talking about the book. It's like it just ended and I'm just like, what? Or it was making faces and someone would look at me and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm listening to right now. Like, like what just happened? Yeah, I gave it 1 star.
Yeah.
1 star, and it wasn't that great. But again, don't let necessarily I mean, well, if anyone's listening to it this far, I spoiled the whole book for you. So
Yeah.
I don't know many people that would listen to this and decide, you know what, I'm going to give that a shot. But
I
maybe
know. I think
form your
in
own
one,
opinion. If you'd like to come argue
yeah.
with me, my DMs are open.
I think in one of the reviews too, I saw that she has another book that's actually really good, and that's why they read this one, but they were really disappointed. So maybe she has another
Okay.
book that's actually better
Okay, maybe I need
than
to
this
yeah,
one.
maybe I need to explore the other one then.
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, I did not. This was I would if
Which
she decided to make this into like a full length book, which I don't know how you do that since they burned the house down. Um well, I guess you could do like a prequel, like tell a story about people that went there before this group showed
beforehand,
up.
yeah.
So like I don't know. Or like if she wanted to
And she can
give
totally revamp the
yeah,
story,
or give
you know.
like have a like write a full length novel, have part of it like be the origin story for this ghost bride, and then like the other part of it either maybe have 2 different instances of people, disappearing, dying, whatever. So I don't know. There could be a whole full length novel like just about like this house and maybe just do like a book that has like a whole bunch of like the different things that happened to it before these people showed up. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider giving that a shot, I guess. But yeah, I'll have to check out something else that she wrote and see
Yeah.
if I
Wonder if
like
it
it.
was like maybe her first novel.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else she's written, honestly. So yeah, maybe this shouldn't have. Maybe this needed to be a full length novel instead of novella.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But the cover looks very good and spooky.
yeah, the
So
cover for this
like,
one's pretty awesome.
yeah.
I was really hopeful. Like
Like
I
that's
almost wish I didn't read
yeah.
what it was about before I listened to it, but oh well. Let's move on to something better.
Mhm.
We both got the chance to listen to My Sister, the Serial Killer.
Mhm.
And I literally finished like 20 minutes, 30 minutes before we were supposed to record.
Okay.
I sped up the speed just a little bit because I was like, oh, I'm going to cut it real close.
I finished this one last night.
What were your overall thoughts?
I really enjoyed this book. I kind of went in completely blind. I didn't even read the back of it.
Okay.
I like based off the title alone is like, okay, I want to read this one.
It's a good title.
Title really gets you.
The cover's also really pretty.
Yeah, it was really nice.
I like that bright, vibrant green.
Yeah. And I was a little confused at first, but that's because I went in with just listening to the audiobook, and then I didn't realize that the chapters are really short.
They are very short.
They're very short, and I don't know if it's because they're very short that it makes you just feel like you're just flying through this book.
Yeah.
Because that's how it felt like for me. Like I felt like once I grabbed the book and so Thursday I started it Thursday and I think I only listened to like the first 20 minutes of it
Okay.
and then listened to the rest of it last night. Like I came
Okay.
home, I ate my dinner, and then I grabbed the book and started dual like listening, reading
Mm-hmm.
with it with the book, and I was just like going through, and then I think I stopped at one point and I was like, oh my gosh, I only have like 50 pages left to go. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I finished it. Like I wasn't expecting. I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe I had to like finish it during my lunch break today, but
Yeah.
nope, I was able to finish it really quickly, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very easy read,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's probably because of the like short chapters. I
Yeah.
think was
Yeah.
really nice.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I feel like it was written really well too.
yeah. I think it was really well.
I did like the audiobook because I probably would have pronounced people's names wrong.
Yeah, right.
I guess I should read the book description for this
Mhm.
one.
Also, I think at one point she speaks another language.
She does in the audiobook speak another language.
Yeah.
So at one point. So
Is it? Well, they're in Nigeria, so is Nigerian.
yeah,
I wonder if it's Nigerian that they're speaking.
maybe, yeah. I feel like at one point she says a language that like the cleaning
Yeah.
guy talks
Oh,
to
that's right. Yeah.
the coma guy in after he wakes up. I can't remember now. Okay, so book description for this is when Corday's dinner is interrupted one night by a distress call from her sister, Aola. She knows what's expected of her: bleach, rubber gloves, nerves of steel, and a strong stomach. This will be the third boyfriend Aola's dispatched in, quote, self-defense, and the third mess that her lethal little sibling has left Corday to clear away. She should probably go to the police for the good of the menfolk of Nigeria, but she loves her sister, and as they say, family always comes first. Until, that is, Aola starts dating the doctor where Corday works as a nurse. Corday's long been in love with him and isn't prepared to see him wind up with a knife in his back. But to save one would mean sacrificing the other. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I was thinking about the last chapter and how it's just like labeled number 5. And so then I was like, wait, did I forget who all are numbered
I
here?
know.
It often so yeah, I also really enjoyed this overall. And like you said earlier when I went and saw you and had lunch with you, that
Mhm.
like as an older sibling,
Mhm.
like like obviously not that my sister's ever called me because she's murdered somebody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like if my sister called me because she was in trouble of some kind, like yeah, I'd be there every
Mhm.
time to help
Yeah.
her. um I'm sure at some point, like, I don't know, you'd get tired of it
Mhm.
and whatnot, but I felt like this did a good job of not really being able to predict the end
Mhm.
for me. Like up until the point, like I was not sure if like who she'd pick, if she'd pick the
Yeah.
doctor or if she'd pick her sister. Honestly, I'd throw them both under the bus, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that when we get to the end of the book. Like, fuck both of them.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so okay, like the book description says, it starts off. Corday's getting her dinner ready. She gets a call from her sister, and her sister's like, "You have to help me. Like, I killed my boyfriend."
Yeah.
And this is, I think, what did it say? This is the third, third man that has died,
Yeah, this is her
supposedly,
third one.
um, from self defense. And of course, like it just says a knife or whatever, and it's not till later in the book that you find out like the knife is like a 9-inch curved blade. I'm like, damn woman.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. Yeah. And you find out, so I guess like it's been the murder weapon for all three, it
mhm.
seems like. And she like loves that knife. And I
Yeah.
guess it's because it used to belong to, and you find out later on it used to belong to to their father.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like,
Who
it's the only
was
thing I have of him.
but
And
like
it's like,
he was horrible.
yeah, horrible father,
Like
but
I don't understand like her attachment
yeah.
like to the knife, cuz like if my dad had acted like that, I don't want none of your shit.
Yeah,
Burn it all down. I don't
right.
care. Cuz yeah, their dad at this point is dead. Um
Hmm.
and so you get a couple chapters every now and then that are labeled like father, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like flashbacks to like their dad just being an absolute horrible piece of shit human being.
Hmm.
Constantly beating them, cheats on his wife all the time. Um
Yes.
and then you find, as the book goes, you find out that like he was going to basically bargain his 14-year-old daughter, the younger daughter,
Hmm.
to some grown ass man that was like a chief of some, I don't I don't know if it actually said just that he was a chief
Yeah,
or
just that he
something of
was a
one of the
chief.
like villages nearby, and it was going to be
Hmm.
some sort of contract or something between the chief and the father, and it was going to include like handing over his 14-year-old daughter.
Hmm.
I'm like, ugh,
No.
no,
No.
no, no, no. And then, of course, in this book, also, it goes over like, I guess every year they have like a memorial for their father. And like he beat all of them. He beat his wife, he beat his 2 kids. And then they have to once a year sit in this memorial thing where people talk about what a wonderful man he was and this, that, and whatever. And there's
Yeah.
like a girl that comes up to our main character, Corday, and it like gives her a hug and like whispers in her ear that like, you know, your dad was a really generous man. Like he paid for my college, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why
Yeah.
would you go
I
up there
know.
and
And she's
tell
like,
one of his daughters, like, I was
yeah,
fucking
she's
your
like, yeah, I know.
dad?
He pays. She's like, yeah, I know. He pays a lot of fees.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, she's probably one of his like mistress that he had.
Yeah. It
It's like,
mentions something
oh,
about having like girlfriends at multiple universities
yeah,
or something. And I'm like, Jesus
I
Christ.
know. I think, yeah, a little bit later find out that he was actually a pretty wealthy man
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, they had like housemaids, and I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. They call their like home like a compound. So I'm assuming it's like gated off or something.
Yeah. So they have like a really nice house that they've managed to keep. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's because their father had, I think they said they had to get rid of a lot of housekeepers. So I think they
I
only
think
have like
they,
two.
yeah, I think it said they got rid of like after he died, they got rid of all the ones that were there, like when he lived there. And then they went like a month, I think, without any help at all, and then
Yeah.
hired. I don't know if they have one or two, but yeah, then they hired someone after a month,
Yeah.
um, or whatever. Because of course, like all the house staff saw them get abused all the time and
Mm.
whatnot. So I'm sure after it never fully says how exactly he died. Did it?
I
It's
was confused by that because I was going to ask you, because I think at one point I thought um it sounded like Ayole killed
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But then at another point, it sounded like there's a one point where something happened where he was like hovering over her and somehow hit his head on a table
Yeah.
and died, and she went up to her mom and was like, it's done.
Yeah. So I felt like that was like split into two chapters. So I was also a little confused because at first it talks about, yeah, like her dad was like hovering over her or something. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden, yeah, like he was injured, whatever. And then like her sister, the younger sister, was like standing above him or something, or behind him. I don't know. So I was like, oh, okay. Did the little sister kill him, like to protect
Yeah.
her big sister? And then, yeah, like you said later, like they go to her mom and they're like, it's done. He's dead or whatever. And I'm like, did y'all plan
Right.
that? Like, because it all happens after. Um, so like their dad's sister, so their aunt, comes to the house to try to take Aola away to that chief, and Corday's having none of it. She's like, no, you're not taking my sister. She even gets the
Hmm.
cane that their dad beats them with and threatens to beat up her aunt. And the
Yeah.
aunt runs away leaving. And then, like, he dies the next day. So
Yeah.
I imagine he was probably on the verge of killing Corday. And Aola was like, no. So I feel like their dad should be her first victim.
Yeah.
If
So
she
I'm
really did kill him.
thinking, the dad was the very first victim. Cause yeah, it's been, yeah, because it talks about how he was towering over her, spitting pure hell.
Mm-hmm.
He reaches for the cane, and then all of a sudden he slumps, hits his head against the glass coffee table, and falls to the floor. But then it says that Ayole came out from behind the couch where she'd been hiding, taking cover.
Oh.
We stood over him, and then she's like, eventually I woke up my mom and told her it was over.
Maybe he had a heart attack?
Yeah. So I don't know who number one was.
He either had a heart attack or maybe she. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really say.
Yeah. Because we know number three was Femi.
Yeah.
And I think number two was Paul, right? I think they talk about that.
I don't remember. They do talk about it, but I can't remember what the
Yeah.
name was.
I think there's like a chapter that's just titled number two.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's very
Okay.
like it's very short, and I think it's talking about.
That's the one where she showed up and the guy's pants were, like, down by his ankles, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, okay. My only problem, or not my problem, but, like, you know so, yeah, we assume their dad was the first one, and then, yeah, there was that second guy that she supposedly killed out of self-defense, and, of course, Corday shows up, helps her clean up the mess, get rid of the
Hmm.
body. I think that's the one where they torched his place, and
Oh yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He was a smoker, and um, I think where he lived had a lot of like chemical
yeah.
stuff. So they were like, it was easily explained as to why. Oh no, the first one's Peter.
Oh, okay.
Number two, or sorry, number two is Peter.
Okay, Peter, okay. But, yeah, so that's the one that they burned the house down to cover up the evidence, and then the third one's Femi, who, I think this is the one where, like, Corday's kind of just like, "Is this really self-defense? Like, what exactly happened?" And, of course, her sister tells her whatever story that she tells her, and
Yeah.
Corday also has a little bit, and I don't know if it's because of their dad and, like, the trauma that she sustained there, or if it started when her sister started asking her to help clean up her crime scenes, but, like, Corday almost has, like, a like, OCD level of cleaning
Mm-hmm.
tendencies.
Yeah.
It is very compulsive for her, and it calms her down, it makes her feel better and things
Yeah.
like that. So, she, like, meticulously cleans.
And like I think
Uh,
organizes, because I think at one point she like goes. She thinks there's nothing to clean, and she ends up going through like her sister's purse and like organizing that or something.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
She's like, I gotta She has to do something to help her, and everything's clean. She's like, I'll
Yeah,
find something.
I'll find
Like I
something
think
to
at
do.
one point she's like, you can never clean the bathroom too many times.
Yes,
So
yes,
even
she
though the
goes and
bathroom's clean, she goes and cleans
yes, she goes and cleans it
it.
again. And, like, they get rid of Femi's body by, like, throwing it in, the lagoon or water or something that's nearby there, and,
Hmm. Yeah, there's like a bridge with like the river that they
yeah,
throw it in. Um, and it sounds like that's where they go, where they dump the all of them, I guess, because they're like, it's okay. There's enough bodies there. There's
yeah,
more than
right.
one, or something like that, or
Something
it's
yeah.
seen its fair share of bodies.
Well, like, her sister's relationship with Femi was, like, known. So, obviously, like, she's kind of a suspect. She acts like, "Oh, well, I saw him that night, but I left," or whatever.
Yeah,
And everything seems okay, but, like, Corday's, like, really struggling with it for some reason, like
yeah. This might have been. I think this might have been one of the ones she actually knew a little bit of, because she's like, he seemed nice,
mm,
and then she like comes across his like a poem that he like wrote her.
yeah, he
She
had, like,
finds out he
blogs.
had a blog,
Yeah,
and like she gets really into like his poetry,
mhm,
and kind of like gives him a personality based off his poetry. And
yeah,
she's like, even at one point she's like, I don't understand why this is more of a struggle to me than it is for her,
yeah.
when
Well,
she's the
yeah,
one,
her
like.
sister completely, like I forget which one it is, sociopath? She has, like, no remorse at
Yeah.
all,
Hmm.
and if she does not show it. I think at one point she Ayla says something to Corday about, like, "You're acting like I'm not bothered by this at all," and Corday's like, "You don't act like you are." Like, you are
I
showing
know.
0 emotion
I know.
whatsoever. You're going about your life like nothing ever happened. Like, Corday's constantly, like, stopping her from posting stuff on social media because she's like, "You can't post that. You're supposed
Yeah.
to be mourning your
Yeah.
boyfriend, like, going missing," or whatever. Because yeah,
I
at this
know.
point, they just think he's missing. Nobody knows he's actually dead.
Hmm.
Um, and then, like, someone comes forward at one point and is like, "Oh, I saw, another woman with Ayla and whatever," and then they get questioned by the cops, and they take, Corday's car, and, of course, she's freaking out because they had put his body in the back of her trunk, and even though she cleaned
Yeah.
the blood up, she's like, "Oh my god, they're gonna, go through my car with a fine-tooth comb, they're gonna find something," but all the while, she's also in her head like, "No, I cleaned everything. I'm a good cleaner."
Yeah. She's like, no one can clean like me.
Yeah, and then, of course, while all of this, inner turmoil and all this other stuff is going on, she's a nurse at this hospital.
Hmm.
She is completely, infatuated in love with one of the doctors that she works with,
Hmm.
who, is nice to her and everything,
Yeah.
and then, her sister shows up to, go to lunch with her or something, and he is just, he's been hit by Cupid's arrow. Like,
Hmm.
he is all of a sudden he's like, you know what did he say? I can't remember the first time. The first time he sees her, he's like, "So, is your sister seeing anybody?" And
Yeah.
she's just like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
I know.
I've been pining for you for years, and my sister's, beautiful ass walks in here once, and you're, wanting to go on a date. Which
Hmm.
their whole relationship, it was very weird not having, a really good, I guess, sense of, how much time has passed, because I felt
Yeah.
like the younger sister and the doctor's relationship, 0 to 100 in no time at all. Their
Yeah.
first date, he comes and brings her, a gold bracelet. I'm like, "That's a first date gift? What are we talking about?"
Yeah.
What?
I know.
And then, the flowers. He goes to lunch with the sister, and then, at some point before the lunch or after the lunch, but before their first date, he sends her flowers, and it's, a beautiful bouquet of, lilies or something, and she
Hmm.
sends him a text. The younger sister, Ayla, sends him a text and was like, "Oh, I actually like roses better." And then he sends her, a bouquet of roses. I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah.
what?"
What? Uh,
Like, and then, of course, one of my favorite parts, though,
hmm.
was Corday waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to sleep, and then going downstairs and, compulsively pulling all the petals off of both bouquets. I was like, "Yeah." But, of course, she didn't clean up her mess for
Yeah.
some reason, and then the mom's trying to, blame, I think she calls her their house girl.
Yeah. One of the
I'm
house
like, "Oh."
girls. Yeah.
But, yeah,
Um.
tries to blame the house girl, and then the sister, Ayla, is like, "No, I did it."
Yeah.
She's like, "Why would you do that?" And she's like, "Well, me and, I think his name's Tade or
Yeah.
something."
Tade.
Yeah,
She's.
Tade.
They had an
We got
argument.
into an argument or something, so I got mad and I plucked all the flowers or whatever, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
But we made up now. Everything's fine.
"Yeah." The mom's like, "You're good now though, right? You're gonna marry a doctor?"
Right. Yeah.
And then, of course, Ayla is also, talking to other people, and this doctor is just, completely head over heels and, distraught
Yeah.
that she hasn't talked to him in 2
Yeah.
weeks.
After their date,
Yeah.
she doesn't answer him for a week, and he goes to Corday and is just like, did I do something? Can you talk to your sister for me? And
Yeah.
she's just like, oh my god, fine. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh. He even comes to her knowing,
Oh.
because she went on a trip, right, with
Well, so yeah, one of her, boyfriends who's married,
yeah.
or not necessarily boyfriend, but just guy who she likes to have a good time with, is
Hmm.
married and has kids. Yeah, comes to pick her up and takes her to, Dubai for the weekend.
Hmm.
And guess what? He
Hmm.
ends up dead.
Yeah.
And of course, it's food poisoning or whatever.
Yeah.
Just wasn't,
Was
though.
it? Yeah.
Because she
Huh.
said food poisoning, and then I think the actual news article said something about a drug overdose
Yeah.
or something like that. And so I
Hmm.
was like, oh, she killed him. She just didn't stab him this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how her sister Corday questions it a little bit,
Yeah.
could that have actually happened? Are am I wrong to think she only uses a knife? you know?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh gosh. Um,
But yeah, she's I don't know. I feel bad for Corday because she's, conflicted. And of course, I think we're supposed to. Like,
yeah.
she loves her sister, obviously,
Mhm.
wants to protect her sister, but she's also in love with this man. And now she's worried this man is going to, end up dead. Like most of the
Yeah.
men in her sister's
And
life
she's
do.
trying, and I feel like she at one point she's just like, I've done, I think, everything I can to persuade him. But for
Yeah.
some reason, she's like, Ayola has some sort of hook on him that
Yeah.
like won't make him stop. Yeah, because it's weird because like, yeah, she's like doesn't appreciate the first flowers.
Mm
Just and then he gives her roses. They go on a date. She doesn't speak to him for a week, and then she cheats on him by,
hmm. Mm hmm.
and he's like,
And he knows it. He
yeah,
even says at one point, like, oh, I know she cheated on me, but, we're moving past that and blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
And then she even tells him, like, she has killed somebody before. And he's just like, why would you say this? And then this is where
mm-hmm,
I was like, ooh, I don't trust this sister at all because she's trying to warn him and she is trying to whatever. And then finally she breaks and she's like, she's killed somebody. Like, she's dangerous. You need to be careful. Blah,
mm-hmm,
blah, 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 blah. And he basically doesn't want to listen to anything Corday has to say.
mm-hmm,
And he tells Corday, Ayla's told me, like, how mean you are to her.
mm-hmm.
And that you, this, that, whatever, you don't do that, something. And I was like,
You think she's a monster, and
mm-hmm.
you know, and he's like, I didn't believe her, but now I'm starting to believe her.
Yeah. He's like, I thought you were so nice and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, this little manipulative bitch.
Yeah,
I would go home and bitch slap my sister. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
But
I know.
she
Yeah,
never, Courtney never confronts her sister about, because this isn't the first time or isn't the last time that he says something to
mm-hmm,
Corday about something that Aola's told him about her or
mm-hmm,
whatever. And I'm just like, she never confronts Aola about it.
mm-hmm.
Not once. Like, why are you telling Tade that, like, I am mean to you and blah, 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 and that I think you're a monster or whatever?
Yeah,
Not once. And I'm like, okay. And so that's where I was like, if something does happen, which it ends up happening,
mm-hmm,
I wasn't sure who she would pick. And
yeah,
then if you think about the timeline of events, you know, the doctor shows Corday that he got Ayla a ring. He wants to propose. And she kind of freaks out on him. And then at one point, she destroys his office and steals the diamond out of the ring
mm-hmm,
to give him more time to think about his decision. But he's pretty sure that he knows it was Corday and not. Ends up getting blamed on one of the cleaning guys.
yeah,
Um, and what also bothered me was like her sister calls her. And in the call, I'm pretty sure Ayla says he's dead. Like, can you come help me? I should have re-listened to that part. Because I'm pretty sure Ayla calls
oh, I
and says he's dead, blah, blah, blah. So then when she shows up at Tade's house, he answers the door. And, Corday's like, where is she? And he goes, she's upstairs. She tried to attack me, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, the sister called before she even tried to kill him. Like, that's what I remember. I can't, but I should have re listened to that part. So I think it's in.
I think no, because she's like considers ignoring the call, but then answers it because she sees that it's her sister. Her heart skips a beat, but all it does is say that she says hello and someone says her name. And then it just skips to what happened in number for her victim number 2.
Okay.
And then all of
I
a sudden
think.
it just jumps to her entering Tade's home.
What's the. So the chapter
The
you need to
chapter's
look at is,
phone.
look at theater.
Yeah, and theater. Because a part of me wonders if maybe like Tade, I got the impression that maybe Tade called her on Iola's phone because he knew that she would answer
Mm.
Iola's
Okay, let me
phone.
see.
But I think it doesn't. I don't think it's really clear who calls because yeah, in theater, she's on the ground.
Yeah, you're right. I don't what the fuck did I hear then?
Yeah,
Maybe I'm making shit up.
I
Oh,
think it's because it goes from phone to Peter to number two, victim Peter,
I think
and
yeah,
she
I was
says,
just about to get
"Cordy,
that.
he's dead," and I was so like, I
I
can see
think
that being a
yeah, I think that's what
confusion.
stuck in my mind. Okay, scratch all that.
Yeah, because it all of a sudden jumps to like the phone call it for victim number two,
Yeah,
and
I
then it
forgot.
goes into present of like going into Tade's home.
But yeah, okay, so yeah, scratch that theory of her calling her sister before she actually killed him. Um but yeah, she gets there, she answers the door, or she goes to the door. Tade answers and she's like, "Where is she?" And then of course she had the knife stuck in her and
Hmm.
she's like, "What happened?" He's like, she goes, "He hit me." And I'm like, he's like, "She attacked me."
Yeah, she tried to kill me.
And I'm like, I believe him. you know?
Yeah.
But she goes to the hospital and she has surgery and she's okay. And then when she wakes up, she's like, "Yeah, he tried to kill me." Or whatever. He attacked me, something. And I'm just like, huh? But we're gonna go with this. And of course,
Yeah.
Corday can either like confess and tell somebody that everything her sister's done and that she probably is guilty and whatever, but instead, like, she doesn't say anything. And Tade ends up going to prison or jail or something for like, I don't know, what, a month? I can't remember what kind of sentencing he got for
I know.
supposedly attacking her.
Yeah, right away he gets suspended and then his
Yeah.
license gets revoked. But I think because he did admit to stabbing her because there was like an altercation, I think
Hmm.
he so ends up having to get sentenced a little
Okay. I was
bit.
like, it's like a really short sentence, but he
Yeah,
does get
it's a very
sentenced.
short sentence.
And then, of course, uh, one part of the storyline that we have left out until now was there was a patient at the hospital who was in a coma
Mhm.
and like they didn't think he was going to make it out, but she basically used this man as like just someone to talk to. So she would go into his room. Corday would go into his room and like tell him everything that was happening because she just had to tell somebody and get it off her chest and
Mhm.
all that. And yeah, he's not expected to ever wake up from this coma. They assume that his family will finally pull the plug, like,
Yeah.
soon, whatever. And she also didn't think about, like, which I'm like, "You were a nurse. How did you" I feel like it's always like, in the movies or even from my own personal experience, people that are in a coma or whatever, like, it is possible they can hear you. And
Mhm.
so,
But I think
like
it's the fact that like she didn't think he was ever going to wake up
that's true.
because
That's true.
he'd been in a coma for so long, and they
I
knew that
just
eventually.
I just don't know if I would have risked it.
Yeah.
But maybe desperate times, makes people do desperate things.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's been telling this man everything
Yeah.
that her and her sister have done or that she's helped her sister with. And then one day she goes to work and they're like, "He's awake." And she's like, "Huh?"
What?
What do you mean?
I
She
know.
like goes to see him or whatever and his family's there and all this stuff and then she goes to leave and then eventually she ends up talking to him and he's like, "So I heard everything.
Yeah.
So she first tries to play it off like, oh well,
You
like,
know, your imagination, you
yeah,
know.
your imagination,
It,
and you were in a coma so long. It's really hard for you to
yeah.
determine what was like real
Right.
life
You're not
versus dreams.
right. She's just tries to be professional. It's just like, how you feeling? Are
Yeah.
you getting sleep? No hallucinations? You know,
Yeah, and he's
like
like, hallucination.
hallucinations.
He's like, that's something. She's like, yeah, don't worry about it
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, they talk again later, and he's just like, I know what
Yeah.
you guys have done, but don't
Yeah.
worry. Like, I'm not going to say anything, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
And they've obviously, like, I felt like it was hinting at like a relationship kind of forming, or possibly before, like, between them.
Mhm.
You know, he decides before he gets released that he's going to divorce his wife.
No, I
He
think
won't.
I thought his wife wanted a divorce.
Oh, I thought he told her he wanted a divorce.
Oh, maybe
That's
he
why she was
did.
crying in the hall.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. But I know his wife wanted, like, his money and wanted him to spend money and wanted him to, agree to the
That
marriage that their
marriage,
son
son. Yeah.
was going to make to some woman who's the daughter of somebody that's going to run for governor or something. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's getting divorced. I can't remember. I
Mhm.
swear he said he did say it, but I don't know. And then he's like, I'd like to give you my number, vice versa.
Mhm.
Or whatever.
I wanted them to have like a friendship because he was the only person that she could talk to,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like he wasn't going to say anything. And he
Yeah.
says, you know, if you need to talk, I'm here.
Yeah.
And like I was like, he could be like the one, I guess, good thing that she has that she can like talk it out.
Yeah.
But she ends up like, I think, burning his number because he wrote it on a paper, and I'm just like, no.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew she said she, like, kept typing it into the
Yeah.
phone or whatever and then deleting it. And then that's when the house girl comes and gets her and says there's a man at the door, and she goes downstairs, and it's her mom and her sister's like, oh, meet so and so, and like the chapter's just number 5, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
At first I didn't get it. I was like, number 5, that was weird. And then it's like her sister's introducing a new boyfriend. I'm like, oh,
Oh.
her fifth victim. Her future fifth victim.
Mhm.
So you're like, I don't know.
I like how it makes you question things too because like
Mm-hmm.
the very end it's crazy cuz it's titled Truth,
Mm.
but there's no truth to it to what
Yeah.
she says. But it's like I guess she's like getting interviewed
Yes.
um
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
because she's because this it's between, you know, her sister and her doctor friend, the
Mm-hmm.
guy. So she's talking, and this is where you find out, oh, she chooses her sister.
Yeah.
But like she seems so calm and she's like talking, and I'm just like, damn. Like you see her sister act um
Mm-hmm.
at one point, and you're just like, yeah, of course they're like very good actors, you know, for you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I was just like, man, I was like, in a way I feel like maybe she kind of has it a little bit too,
Oh yeah,
you
definitely.
know. Yeah, but
Definitely.
maybe hers is just not as impulsive
Yeah.
as her sister, you know. She it's so it's
Well,
just like,
like,
damn.
and it kind of makes me think about, like, like if their dad hadn't been so horrible to them, not that like everybody that gets abused by their parent becomes a serial killer,
Yeah.
but it is uh, usually it's a man and it's mommy issues, but it is kind of, their dad was a super asshole. So I'm like, if their dad didn't, treat them the way he did, like, would she have this kind of like thing out for men? Because her thing is always like, oh, self-defense. They tried to do this and they tried to do that or whatever. And obviously, like, if my
Mhm.
sister called me and said that, like, I would believe her, you know?
Mhm.
I wouldn't question it. I'd be like, okay, like, you were acting in self-defense, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just like, ooh, does like the younger sister just have it out for men because their dad was such a piece of shit?
Yeah.
And she does attract some pretty shitty men. as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I did find it very interesting also how the two sisters are portrayed, as far as like they act like Aola is just some like drop dead gorgeous beauty,
Mm-hmm.
and then that like her and Corday have some similarities, but like Corday's not beautiful or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like,
She's like average. You're
yeah.
average, you
I
know.
think at one point after her sister comes and visits her at work, someone she works with is like, so y'all are like half siblings, right? 'Cause she
Yeah.
doesn't believe that they like
Are
both have
related.
same parents and are
Yeah.
fully related or whatever. She's like, no, we have the same mother and father.
Yeah.
I'm just like, ew, damn, that's rough. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was an
Yeah.
interesting story. It's short, so it doesn't take up too much time.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. It keeps you engaged, I think. And again, I think
Yeah,
the short chapters, I think, really help to like
yeah,
make it like go by pretty quickly, but like in a good way.
yeah. I agree. I also like how the chapters were named
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
whatever. It wasn't like a number. It was just like I didn't realize how many chapters there were.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, like you have like
Like the first chapter's Bleach, the Notebook. Oh, we could talk about the Notebook. Like how Corday
oh
keeps
yeah,
a little notebook and she puts the names of
I
her
know.
sister's victims in it.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's like she asks. I think she says she got it to basically, I guess, journal and
Yeah, she got it because someone she read about says that they like have a little journal that they write like one like good thing or happy thing in it a
yeah.
day or
Mm-hmm.
something. So she gets it to do that, and then it ends up turning into her
Her sister's like
sister's
victims.
murder catalog.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I was like, oh,
I was like, oh, I'm not sure we should have this written down.
you know. Yeah, because it starts off right away. Yeah, the bleach, and it talks about like.
I like how she's like, you have to, she's like, people don't realize you have to like clean up the space first and then use bleach instead of just putting bleach on it. I'm just like,
Yeah, I know. Even at one point, I think she talks about her special mix. So she like has like a special
yes.
cleaning mix that she makes herself
Yes.
to clean as well.
Yep.
And it's just like that's when I started to be like, oh, does she have like a compulsive cleaning? And it's like, yeah, sure enough. Like the more you read, the more you're like, oh man, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's just becomes like a clean freak.
Yeah.
I think at one point at the end too, she's like, she realizes that like I think her sister says something, and she's like, it's really sad too because I think her sister says all they want is a pretty face about Tade, and then she
Oh.
asks him like, well, what is it about my sister that you like? And all he can really say is that she's pretty,
Yep.
and she's just like, I guess my sister's right about one thing. And it's just like, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. Like also like he comes over to the house and I don't know if it's because I don't know. I don't know exactly why, but like Corday cooks, but her younger sister like doesn't cook anything and can't
Mm-hmm.
cook. And, this is still kind of a society where, the woman is expected to keep up
Mm-hmm.
with the house and do all the cooking and things like that.
Yeah.
And Tade comes over and their mom is like, "Oh, would you like some cake or whatever?" And he eats some cake and he's like, "This is delicious." And she's like, "Oh, Ayla made it." And he's like, "Oh, wow, blah blah blah." And then later he's there for something or they're playing a game or whatever and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh, did you bake some more?" And she's like, "I can't bake to save my life." And she goes, "Did Corday tell you that I made that pineapple upside down cake?" He goes, "No, no, your mom did." And she's like, "Yeah, no, I didn't make that. It was Cordy."
Yeah.
I did not cook that.
Right. I did not cook that. Also, yeah, I think they're trapped in the house because there's like a storm outside, and I guess he came to visit.
That's right.
And it's a little funny, I think, because she like makes her sister play a game, and he's like, "Wait, maybe me and you can just play," because you can see Corday. I think he can sense that Corday doesn't like want
Yeah.
to.
Well, they've also
And
had a little bit of tension at that point too.
yeah, and she's like, "No, it requires 3 or 4 more plays, and I want to play it." And I'm just like, "Oh my god!" And then it ends up being Clue,
I know.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I think at one point she like tells Tade how the rules and like winks at her sister, and I'm just like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god!"
Yeah. She's like, you have to figure out who killed whoever and like what room and what murder weapon. And I'm just like, oh.
Oh. I did like that a little bit though.
That was good. And then her trying to like, Corday trying to like help Tade from falling into all the traps that his sister or her sister was like placing for him during the game and
Yeah.
whatnot. But anyway.
My bookmark, because I started reading it at work and I had this on my shelf. It's a mini death card. tarot card.
That is fucking perfect for
That's
that
so
book.
cute. I know. Because sometimes I find things for bookmarks and I throw them on my shelf, and I forgot.
Yeah.
I was like, I need a bookmark, and this was it. And I was like, perfect.
That is perfect. That is perfect. Love it.
I love it.
Yeah. Overall, Nothing But Blackened Teeth, bad. My Sister the Serial Killer, good.
Yes.
And I mean, if you've made it this far, we've completely spoiled both of them for you, but like, go read My Sister the Serial Killer.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It was still pretty good.
Yes.
Oh, we haven't done a what this week in a long time. Are you reading anything right now?
Oh yeah, I was like trying to figure out what to read.
What to read next?
Yeah, I think I might read my pick for this month.
Mm-hmm.
Her favorite Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah,
by Rebecca Rennick.
It looks really cute. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I need to get that one started too.
Yeah, I thought about starting that one. And then I got 2 mangas from the library.
Yeah, I'm still reading Black Sheep by Bryn Weaver. It might have a secondary author too. Oh well, I apologize if I have that wrong. Yeah, Black Sheep is by Bryn Weaver and Alexa Harlow. It's like 412 pages.
Mm.
And obviously, I love Butcher and Blackbird, and I love Leather and Lark. So therefore, I love Bryn Weaver for those two at least. And I haven't read all of her backlog. I've read Exterminatrix, which was like a monster romance thing that she wrote, which was okay. It's very short. But this book, I don't dislike it, but it's kind of dragging. So I haven't been wanting to pick it up as much. Because, yeah, it's good. It's spicy. But, like, I'm, like, a little over halfway through, and I feel like nothing's really happened. Except for some really crazy sex stuff. So it is good, but it is taking me a while to read it because I'm not as, I don't know, I feel like I'm not as invested in finishing it at the moment. And then, of course, I need to start reading and finish Hayseed.
Oh, yeah, Hayseed. Yes. You need to look at my PowerPoint.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the update yet since I haven't read that one.
Yeah.
But the Corn Daddy part is fantastic. In case anyone wants to know, our October Smutty special is going to be Corn Daddy and Hayseed. Hopefully it'll be October. If not, maybe November.
Still like fall-y books.
Yeah, they're fall themed. As always, thank you, listener, for joining us. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. We are Book Talk Babes Pod on all the socials. Everything is listed in the description. Have a lovely day and week. Until next time.
Bye.